Hello. On a day to day basis, we experience a lot of stress. And I don't know about you, whether you've been through some stress today, and whether it is that you desire to have a less stress and be more happy. This is Now Tell Us. I'm your host, Anthony Morore. Today, we are going to have a guest with us, Dan. He's going to tell us about being happy and having less stress. So, we are going to meet Dan in today's episode. And we ask you to please give us feedback, comment, ask questions as we are moving on. Even when you get to see these after we are through with the episode, we appreciate every feedback that you give us. And now, before, I mean, without taking one more minute, let's go and meet Dan. He's going to tell us today more. Here is. Hello, Dan.
Hey, Anthony. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fantastic, man. Good to see
It's
you.
it's Dan Howington. Is
That's
it
right.
sounding
Yeah.
just the same way that I'm reading it?
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Howington, however you want to say it. It's close
Okay,
enough.
that's good. And where are you?
I'm outside of Atlanta. I'm between Atlanta, Georgia, and Augusta, Georgia. I
Yeah,
have a log cabin on the shores of Lake Oconee here. So,
beautiful. And
yes,
it's good to have you here. And we welcome you to now tell us. You're going to tell us a lot of things.
I hope so. I hope
Yeah.
I can share a lot of things. Yeah. Hopefully, we'll bring some things up you may have thought about, and we'll talk through about how to put that into action, and a little bit of what brought me here, where I'm able to help people, right, be happier.
Okay. I see you're very relaxed.
Well, I am very relaxed, Anthony.
Yes.
It
Is
took a while for me to get to a point where I'm very relaxed, but yes, you
uh,
know, we learn in life. I one of the reasons I got involved in sort of self help and improvement and positive psychology was because of my own experience. Um, in my late 20s, I would say I was pretty sure I was going to have a heart attack. Right, I was in the middle of traffic trying to get to a customer meeting, and I was raging at the people around me, and I was raging at the weather, and I was raging at everything outside of my control. And I finally just had an epiphany that I had to do something to change the way I view the world and the events in the world.
mhm.
And so I've become a lifelong learner, lifelong follower of Tony Robbins, a researcher in my own right of positive psychology and NLP, trying to understand how to control my thoughts that drive my behaviors, right?
Mhm.
And trying to kind of get rid of the negatives and replace those with positives. And so it's something that led me to formalize my training under Robbins Madanis as a strategic interventionist. And I work with sales professionals and executives, and really anybody that just kind of needs to reframe and refocus on what's important in their life, and give themselves permission to have joy back in their life. You know.
Mm, yeah, and almost all of us. I mean, those who people who are more familiar with personal development know about Tony and what he teaches, and so we are expecting to uh, maybe stand up, breathe a little, dance a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, yeah. So there's more to it than that, right? So you know that, right? So
Yeah.
it's instilling new habits, and research tells us different things. Some people speak in hours, and some people speak in days, and to really instill a new habit, it's about 60 days. If you do that, whatever it is that you're doing, if you do it consistently, then it becomes ingrained. And it's important that we incorporate physicality in our thoughts as well, because our decision making systems are intertwined to a much higher degree than we're even aware of, I think. Well,
mm,
most of us are not aware. The
mm,
way we hold ourselves, the way we stand, whether we smile or we frown, our facial muscles, our expressions, all of those things are communicating state to our brains, and which of course regulates our serotonin and our dopamine and all of our feel good chemicals. So, we have to, when we say walk the walk, literally, we have to walk the walk, right? If you want to be happy, if you want to be less stressed, you have to hold yourself in a way that's happy and less stressed. And
mm.
I'll give you a little brain hack later on in the episode about how to kind of start your day, empowering yourself, a little something you can do. So
Wow.
we'll talk about that a little later. But
Looking forward to that. Now, before we even go further, now I know our listeners or our viewers, they have dreams. They want to achieve their own dreams. They have that desire to be successful. But then I've come to discover that each and every one of us have a different way of looking at success. What's your perspective, and what should we consider success to be?
well, that's interesting. And it's very true. When you talk to people and you ask them, emotionally, where are you right now? Are you happy? Are you content? Are you
Mm-hmm.
satisfied? People struggle sometimes to really define that. When they go, yeah, well, I'm happy. Well, what does that mean exactly?
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean? And that doesn't mean that you have a roof over your head for some people. It doesn't mean that, that you have enough food to eat, that you have friends and family that are alive, that love you and care about you. For some people, they don't see that as being successful, as being happy. You know, what we are often driven to in our society is looking at external things, possessions, material things. Those are indicators of our status. And when we have a certain status, then we should be happy.
Mm-hmm.
But what we discover as we go on this journey together as human beings, trying to figure it out, is that those material possessions have no soul. They have no meaning in our life. They could be owned by you. They could be owned by someone else. They could be owned by multiple people, and we have no connection with them outside of the fact that we use them, whatever they might be, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so we look to it as a way to validate who we are, um, and we forget that it's really our internal emotions and our connections with other people that validate who we are. And
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of us reach a point in our lives where we have an epiphany, where we're checking all the boxes. We've got a great job. We drive a great car. We have a big house. We're members of a country club, or we go to a social events with all the right people. And what we're outside, we're looking at all of these things to validate who we are as individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And we wonder, we wake up and we say, on paper I look great, but internally I feel empty and I feel dead. I feel unfulfilled, and I'm kind of lost about how I get to who I really want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, to your point, we have to define, who do you really want to be? What does it mean to be happy for you? What
Mm-hmm.
does success mean for you? I remember I have two boys, twin boys, and I remember when they were young, they were very young, and that was a long time ago. Um, they asked me, Daddy, are we rich? I said, we're rich beyond measure. We're blessed beyond measure. I've
Mm-hmm.
got you guys. I've got mom. We have cartoons on Saturday mornings. We have Grandy and Papa, and we have your cousins, and we have enough that we feel full when we eat. We have, warmth at night when we sleep together and we say our blessings before we go to bed, and we wake up the next day with each other. We're blessed beyond measure. Now, I was lucky because I had reached a point in my life where I was able to sort of reframe what I considered to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
But it's often we get caught in these situations where we're looking externally to material possessions to validate who we are, and we forget what really matters in life. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's the important part of being happy and being successful, is being able to define what that means. I find a lot of people are living lives that were defined by their mom or their dad or their peers or their siblings or their colleagues or everyone outside is saying you got to work hard, you got to 40 hours a week, you got to go get paid a certain amount of money, you have to have a certain thing, be a part of a certain circle, do certain things, and meanwhile are moving further and further away from your divine ideal, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What is, if you were to fulfill your God-given destiny, that might be something totally different than the life you're building and pursuing. And you're not paying attention to that. You're not defining who you are when you're
Mm-hmm.
happy. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the first things I think we have to do when we get to this position. We're wondering why I don't feel great about my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to look at, well, what do I want? What makes me happy? What
Mm-hmm.
makes me successful? And then you have the question, can you be successful without being happy? Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you be successful and not be happy? So
You,
this is
yeah,
interesting question.
right. And you can have financial success, you can have materialistic success, but without a spiritual sort of awakening and understanding of what it means to be happy and to be loved and to be significant, you know, um, it's very difficult to be successful
Mm-hmm.
if you're unhappy. I would say those two are incongruent. You have to be happy to be successful, in my opinion. So
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting.
Wow, that's quite a good insight that you've driven us into. Now, thank you, each and every person who's watching, who's listening. Yes, I see Hannah Itweka is here. Thank you. And anybody who's out there, we appreciate you. So now let's go into, yes, there are those people who want to be successful, there are those people who want to be happy, and most of us want to have both of them. We want to
Right,
be successfully happy.
right.
Now, how do we get there?
Well, one of the things that I think we talking about as part of the episode is stress, right?
Hmm.
So we don't want lack of stress. I mean, stress is life. We're going to have some stress. But
Hmm.
what we want to do is we want to understand stress, and we want to be able to learn how to deal with stress in a healthy way so that we can pursue our lives and pursue our dreams and not be overcome by this feeling of helplessness, right? Stress
Hmm.
and control are very closely related. We often stress because we're trying to control the things we can't control, and
Hmm.
that's the biggest generator of stress in our lives. So excuse me, one of the things I try to share with clients is a little acronym called E plus R equals O. Pardon me. And it was used by the Ohio State Buckeyes when they had their multiple national championships under Urban Meyer back in the day. But they would wear these bracelets that
Hmm.
said E plus R equals O. And what that stands for is event plus response equals outcome. And
Okay.
so the only thing you can control is your response. The only thing you can control is your response. Now
Hmm.
you can define an outcome that you desire, and you can whenever something happens outside of your control, the way you respond, you want to lead closer to your outcome. But
Hmm.
you can't try to control the events. You can't try to control the people. You can't try to control anything outside of your ability to control. Just
Hmm.
creates just creates stress. And so if there's one thing I can share with people, learn that mantra, E plus R equals O, because it will help you deal with situations that are outside of your control. Right?
That's A plus R is equals to O. Event plus response is equals to outcome. I got that. I got it.
Exactly right. Yeah. You're a quick study,
Yeah. Okay, good. Move on.
man. So once we've defined what makes us happy, once we've defined, and it can be, if there's one thing I've learned, I used to say, 7 billion people. I think now it's closer to 8 billion people. But there's 8 billion people on this planet, and there's 8 billion ways to be happy.
Mm,
So you have to understand who you are and be authentically honest with yourself. Be true to yourself. You know, you may
mhm,
not want a $100,000 job. You may not want a big corporate position. You might want to work um, somewhere where you're helping underprivileged children. You might want to work where you're working with the elderly. You might want to work where you're in what this all goes back to is we have an emotional need, a human need to contribute, to give back, to help
Mm-hmm.
others. And in fact, we're happiest when we serve. We are happiest when we are helping others improve themselves and improve their lives. And
Mm-hmm.
so when we're giving back, when we are being servants to others, it's when we're at our most fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's something you have to do for yourself. It doesn't. I am not one of those people that says, having a 9 to 5 job is a bad thing. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is, don't rely on that for your happiness. If it's incongruent with who you are, then find a way to express and be productive and be creative outside of that particular venue, or change your venue. And I'll tell you another little cognitive secret is we doing the job itself is not necessarily a predictor of happiness or unhappiness.
Mm-hmm.
It's who we are working with and who benefits from what we do that
Mm-hmm.
is often a higher indicator of whether we're happy or not at our job. So it's not so much that it's a hard job and the hours are long and where we work may not be the best. If the people there love and accept you, if they let you know you are uniquely valued and understood, if you
Mm-hmm.
have a connection where you feel like you have meaning with who you work with,
Mm-hmm.
then that job can give you fulfillment. So
Mm-hmm.
it's an interesting way to look at what we do, versus just doing it for the money. The money is something that we're rewarded with in return for our time, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and our efforts in a certain area. So we become experts in areas where we're productive and we're creative and we're giving back to the world, right? So
Yeah.
that's what we get traded for what we do, but it doesn't define who we are.
Mm.
Doesn't define who we are. Now, how you relate to the people you work with and work for, and those that you serve in your work, is more definitive about who you are than the actual work itself, if that makes
Mm.
any sense.
Yeah, it
And
does
so,
make sense. It does make sense. And
so
thank Yeah, and thank you for that. Yeah, keep on moving.
okay. Well, so one of the things that's really key when we talk about happiness, we create our own happiness. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's so important that we understand what makes us happy, right? And
Yeah.
I would tell you that your happiness has to be free from judgment. So in order for you to truly be joyful and to be happy, you have to be able to do something without fear of being ridiculed or made fun of or someone else judging or rating, or you cannot worry about people externally telling you that that's not okay. And I would say, if you remember when you were a child, what were things you did that made you happy? What were things that you did that made you laugh? What were things you did that made you feel loved? What were things that you did that where you loved and cared for another? And remember those things and recapture those things. If it
Mm.
was dancing in the rain, go dance in the rain, man. You know, if it was walking barefoot through the puddles on the street outside your mom and dad, go walk barefoot through the puddles in the summer.
Mm.
Do those things, dance, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you if you have become insulated from your true joy, I'm challenging you to go recover that.
Mm.
There's something in you, whether it's singing, dancing, um, laughing. There's something in your soul that needs to be expressed when you do those things. And
Mm.
when you withhold it, you're building barriers against it. And I'm just going to challenge you to rediscover that. Go
Mm.
find that thing that gave you joy, that made you laugh, that made you feel loved and free and accepted. And you don't worry about what other people say or think. I'm going to
Oh,
challenge you to go do that.
wow. And
So,
I think there's a lot of work there that I don't have in whatever I am doing. I don't have to mind what is he going to say? What is she going to say? Are they watching me? Are they judging me? Are they
right.
looking?
Oh, right. No,
How
exactly.
do I work that? Because it's not an easy thing, and you can agree with me. It's not an easy thing.
No, it's not. It's not easy. We all are very, and there is a huge drive that we have to be accepted. you
Mm-hmm.
know, and we do things when we're worried about a group of people, a group of friends, a group of colleagues, group of peers. We want them to like us. It's a human drive. It's a huge, and it leads to a lot of unhealthy, negative behaviors, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that we have to be aware of, right? I will tell you that the people that enrich you are going to be drawn to you authentically who you are, not who
Mm-hmm.
you're pretending to be, not who you're acting like you want to be, but
Mm-hmm.
authentically who you are. And that doesn't mean, that doesn't mean we can all run around in social settings naked or whatever. I'm not advocating stupidity or but I am saying that you're authentically sharing your feelings. If
Mm-hmm.
you're socially, you feel a little awkward, if you're a little bit scared, if you're a little bit nervous, if you feel some anxiety, if you have some things that are going on that somehow you're less than perfect, being vulnerable opens you up to people loving you and caring for you.
Mm.
What you are going to find is that more people love you and are pulling for you to be successful than you're aware of. You just have no idea the number of people that love you and think you're a wonderful person and
Yeah.
really want you to do well. You have no idea. And so never think, a lot of times when we're in the holidays especially, we run into these situations where we begin to think we don't have really good friends, or I can't find I can't get to my family, or people aren't calling me and expressing love. There are more people out there that love you and are pulling for you than you are aware of. I'm telling you. So
Mm.
be who you are. I know that there's a when you talked earlier about shining.
Mm.
There's a quote that is often attributed to Nelson Mandela, and it's not actually Nelson. It's a writer, a lady that wrote the quote, and I carry it with me laminated actually. But it
Mm-hmm.
talks about, who are you to play small? Who are you to play small? Who are you to hide God's gifts from the world? When you
Wow.
shine, you give others permission to shine. And
Mm.
so when you're vulnerable, you give other people permission to be vulnerable, right?
Mm.
And when
Mm.
you love and you care and you serve, you give others permission. It resonates with people at a place that's beyond, it's behind our facade. It's more in our soul. It resonates with us that way.
Mm. Mm.
And so when you are uniquely open and authentic, it opens other people up and gives them a chance to be uniquely open and authentic.
Wow.
And so look at that as more, it's almost your responsibility to be true to who you are. and i
Mm.
and i and I say that, Anthony, and I mean this. It doesn't mean if you feel anger that you can be, you can go out and express your anger on other people. That's not what I mean. This is coming from a place of love and respect, dealing with others from a place of love and respect, you know and when you
Mm-hmm.
act in that way and you're authentic in that way, that is, there's nothing but good that comes from that. So that's how you help generate happiness. So, uh,
Wow. Wow. Some golden nuggets here there.
well,
And
I'm
we have quite an audience watching us. We thank each and every one of you. We have Jen Guru, we have Hannah Itweka, we have Felista Wairimo, and others who just keep watching without saying. And it's a good point that you made there. There are people who are there watching you, rooting for you. They may not tell you, but they are watching you, they are following you. And you give the good part that we've got today is that you give them also the power, that power to come out and be themselves.
oh,
And
right.
yes, and your riches are going to come from you being your authentic you, not the fake you.
That's exactly right. What
Yeah.
happens is, as you, it's like you're putting a pebble on the pond, right? And
Mm-hmm.
who you are creates its own unique vibrance in the universe. And
Mm-hmm.
those people that it resonates with, that it touches, will be drawn to you. People
Mm-hmm.
worry about friends, and they worry about, does anybody really understand me? Does anybody really get me? When they know you, the ones that do will. When they know you, they see you. The ones that do will. When you're playing a role, that doesn't it doesn't create it doesn't that doesn't spread. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not you. It's like think about hitting a bell when you are uniquely who you are. You're hitting a bell that's deep within who you are, and
Mm,
that goes out into the world, and those that hear that and recognize that and react to that will be drawn to you, right? So the
wow.
people that you have around you will be those people that love and respect you and
Mm,
understand who you are,
mm,
versus people that are pretending to be your friend. They're pretending to be a friend to the person you're pretending to be.
mm.
See?
Oh,
So
okay.
you got this whole circle of like fakeness that
Yeah.
doesn't ever feel right. And so that's why you worry about it.
Mm,
Are we really friends? Do I really have a friend that loves me? Do I have a friend that understands me? No, because they don't know you. So
ah,
we've got to learn to trust ourselves and forgive ourselves for our humanity. If
mm,
you think that you've got to go out in the world and somehow be perfect, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're
mm.
doing yourself an injustice.
Wow.
You know?
Oh, that's a good one. They are pretending to be the friend whom you are pretending to be.
Yeah,
Think about
they're
that.
pretending to be a friend to the person you're pretending to be. So here
Oh,
you guys are wasting all your time with
mm,
somebody that you don't even really know, right?
mm-hmm.
So I don't know. We've got a few minutes left. There was a couple of things I wanted to share. There's a thing that I when we talk about happiness, there's a thing called the happiness thermal.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're familiar with thermals. Like if you ever fly a kite and a kite catches a thermal, right? It's rising air,
Mm,
and the kite will go way up. If you ever rode in a glider, or if you ever anything that's out in the universe, if it hits a thermal, it elevates it. So
mm,
we talk about a happiness thermal. When we start building on gratitude, that is the basis of happiness, being
mm,
grateful, being appreciative for what we have, for the people that we have, for the places that we go, for the experiences that we have, for the things that we learn. So if there's a way for you every day or once a week, write down 3 or 4 things that you're grateful for. That leads to an elevated state where we have a little bit less stress. So when we're grateful, we don't have as much stress. When
mm,
we have less stress, we sleep more. Okay, when we sleep more, so we're coming up the thermal. We're going around in a circle and going higher and higher. So when we
mm,
sleep more, we have less pain. So sleep helps alleviate pain. When we
mm-hmm,
have less pain, we're able to focus and concentrate more on those things that are important to us. And
mm-hmm,
what that gives us is a feeling of control over the things that we can control. So
mm,
that gives us more enjoyment. And as
mm-hmm,
we have more enjoyment, we have more things to be grateful for. So we just continue that cycle and elevate ourselves. And that's the secret to happiness, is
mm,
understanding how to cultivate gratitude in our hearts and serving other people, serving others. Those
mm,
those two things are at the core of having a happy, then successful life, especially in today's environment with all the stuff we've got going on. And
mm,
again, we started this conversation about how we need to know what makes us happy, right?
yeah. Mm-hmm,
So that's if you forget anything else, that less stress is E plus R equals O, right?
yeah.
And then that happiness thermal that begins with gratitude. To try to
Mm,
remember that.
beautiful.
Last thing I'll share is what I call it's the Superman pose, and you can call it the Wonder Woman pose, or you can call it the hero pose. You can call it whatever you want, but our bodies and our minds are inextricably linked.
Mm-hmm,
We talked about that a little bit earlier. When we smile, we get dopamine and serotonin and all of those good things that our brain releases. And it's not because of anything our brain does, it's because our body does certain things.
mm-hmm,
I want you to try this the next time, maybe tomorrow morning or the next time before you're going to do a podcast. I want
mm-hmm.
you to stand up, put your chest out, like you're like
I knew
Superman.
it. I knew it. I knew you were going to stand up.
Yeah, well, I can, but it's all right. I don't know if I'm framed. But
Yeah.
you got your chest out, you're looking around, surveying, the countryside. You can even raise your arms like you're getting people or the adulation of your fans if you want to, but
Mm.
pretend you're a hero, right? You're Superman, you're Wonder Woman. Do that for 2 minutes, and you'll be amazed at the difference that you feel in terms of your feelings, in terms of if you're prepared for the day. Have you got all the right chemicals in your mind? Are you sharper? Do you feel more positive? The energy created by that pose is really impactful. I think you'll appreciate it if you do it. Yeah, yeah. You can dance too if you want, but just stand up and look out over things. Do it for 2 minutes. Do it for 2 minutes, and I
Yeah.
promise it'll elevate your mood. You'll feel better about your life.
Wow. Thank you for that. Now, going back to E plus R is equals to O. And we know, and you mentioned just a few minutes back, with all the things going on around the world. Now, unforeseen circumstances, like 2 years ago, when nobody was expecting, out from the blue, everybody's told into the house, some lost jobs, some lost family members. How do you deal with that and still continue to be having less stress and more happy? Is there a hack?
There a hack? Well, that's the core of it, right? Is understanding that this is outside of my control, right? There's a couple of different ways to think about that. I'm trying to remember. There's a prayer about give me the knowledge to, you know, give me the courage to
I should
deal
change
with
the
the things I
things.
can't control, right? But
Yeah.
it's all about understanding, and this happens. What you're speaking of course, is the virus and the reaction to that, which
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
is a fertile source of debate and discussion, I think. But it could be anything. It could be the loss of a loved one. It could be something more close to home. We can't try to change and control something outside of our control. That brings us stress, and
Mm.
we have to learn whatever that way of coping, whatever that way is of responding, that helps you feel there's something that's bigger than ourselves. There's something that's beyond who we are in our earthly bodies.
Mhm.
Whatever your spiritual beliefs might be, we all think of something spiritually that gives us peace, and
Mhm.
we understand that sometimes these things happen, and they're neither good nor bad, but their
Yeah.
impact on us, is undeniable. And so our choice is to continue to put one foot in front of the other,
Mhm.
and try to be grateful for the things that we do have, that we do experience, the people that we still have that we love, and the things that we still can experience, rather than um, being fixated on those things that we can't do anything about. It's always my personal motto is personal motto. The story I'm reminded of is a Marine going through Marine training, going through Special Forces training. Part
Mm.
of what they have to do is they have to climb a sheer face, and I want to say that's 200 feet high, something
Mm.
like that. And there's a sergeant or a drill master or whoever that's helping the new recruits learn how to climb, learn how to scale this rock face. And
Mhm.
there's always someone that will get stuck. Someone will get stuck, and they don't know what to do, and they begin to panic, and they'll begin looking down, looking back, you know, because they think they're going to have to go down. They just can't make it. And
Mm.
the way that the drill instructor deals with that is he'll say, focus on a 3 foot box. What I want you to think about is the next foothold, the next handhold, and I want you to pull yourself up to that position. 3 feet, 3 foot box. I want you to focus on that. So, as bad as things sometimes seem,
Mhm.
think about the 3 foot box. I need my next foothold. I need my next handhold. And if I just do that, then I'll finally get to the top. There's this too shall pass, as they say.
Yeah.
And you're never given anything more than you can handle. So
Mhm.
try to maintain your focus on your next step forward, your next step forward, and
Your
that'll get you out of that situation.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dan. So, to everyone out there, we've been reminded to pray the prayer called the Serenity Prayer. And this
That's
is,
it.
yeah, this is how it goes. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
Exactly. Thank
Yeah,
you for putting that up. See,
there we
part of
go.
getting gray hair is you lose memory cells. You can't just pull it up like you used to.
Nice, good. You're doing good. You're doing good. You're doing good. And we've actually almost come to the end of this show, and I would ask you, how would you help the listener or the viewer? How, in what way? Maybe as individuals or as the organizations? How do you do that?
Sure. What I offer is I work with a company called VIA, and we have a free survey that I usually offer, and it's um, a character strength survey. And if you come to my LinkedIn profile on LinkedIn, which is just Dan Howington, you'll see on my profile, I have a link in my profile that'll send you to the survey. Character strengths are all a part of positive psychology. And what it helps you do is identify those 4 to 5 strengths that you have. When
Mm-hmm.
you work and when you do things that involve those strengths that are unique, usually unique to you, then you'll feel more fulfilled, and it helps you live your best life. Again, start that happiness thermal we're talking about. The things that you do, you're more grateful for the situations you're in, and you begin to experience all the other positive aspects that we talked about. So I would offer that. You go take that survey, I'll be notified. We'll set up 30 minutes. I'll talk to you personally about that. Also on LinkedIn, you'll find my phone number and my email. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care where you are in life. I'm not worried about I, if you need to talk to somebody about something to feel better, you call me, you email me, you let me know. I'll give you whatever time you need, and I promise you you'll feel better about yourself and your life when we get off the phone. So just go to LinkedIn, find out how to reach me there. I do have a website. It's fiveforges.com, the number fiveforges.com. But probably the best way to reach me is LinkedIn.
Okay, so once again, that's www.fiveforges.com. Go there, connect with Dan or get him on LinkedIn, and yeah, everything that he said, you've heard that. Now, several comments.
I see
And
Brian. Yeah.
Jen says, "Can you imagine how simple life would be if we took time to just apply a few principles in life? Just a few principles."
Well, that's right. The way you do things, I'll give you an example of something I do very simple. I've found that relationships are often difficult, right? And when you're in some for a period of time, you begin to take each other for granted. And one of the things that I uh, have made a habit with my wife is when we say our blessing over our meal, I always say, "Thank you for this woman. Thank you for this woman." Because I want to reiterate how grateful I am for her love and for her and what she does. And I want to
Mm.
make sure that's a part of what we do daily. And I want to make sure it's meaningful every day. Now, that may not be appropriate for what you're going through or what you want to do, but now that's a second nature to me. We've been married 15 years, and I mean, every time I say the blessing, that's a part of it. So you have to have a little bit of discipline. The good thing is that discipline, self-discipline, is a skill. The more you practice it, the better it becomes. So the better you become at it. So if you institute a new habit, if you find something where you're lacking, you find something where you're being negative, try to change that response and change that habit and institute a new one. So that's what I would recommend. You have a question from Brian. um, I would say, Brian, you've got to be strong in who you are. So when you're strong in who you are, then you're able to respond to that with grace, right? What grace means forbearance and being able to just, you know, I know who I am. I know where I come from. I know I feel good about myself. I don't know why you would say that. I don't know why you think that, but it doesn't matter. The people you want to worry about, not really worry about, but the people that you want to consider their opinion is your family, a loved one, a sibling, a mother, a father, uh, maybe a significant other that you have. the people that you have a unique, really tight relationship with. Worry about them. Everybody else, the world is the world responds to you that way when they have an issue to deal with. It's not about you. It doesn't have anything to do with you. What they're doing is they've got their own unhappiness and their own anger, and the way that they express it is they try to throw it on you so you'll take it off of them. Don't catch that, man. Don't catch that ball. Don't play that game. You got to be true to who you are. Be strong about who you are. And when you feel good about who you are, you'll notice that for what it is, but you won't let it affect your joy. I, I hope that helps you. If you want to call me, I'll talk to you personally about it. I'll give you some tips and tricks to deal with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, once again, go to www.fiveforges.com and connect with Dan. And thank you, each and every one of you who's here. Brian is appreciative of the answer that you gave. Thank you very much. And yeah, we are actually overdue.
Yeah, stand up. Can you? I don't know if you can see me in the.
I knew it. I knew we were going to stand.
I'll try to crouch down.
If you've been coached by Tony Robbins, you
I
must
hear
stand
you.
at some point. Okay, here we go.
Like that. 2 minutes. Do it for 2 minutes. Change your life, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, there
You'll
you
like
go. There you go.
it. Okay.
This has been a great episode. Thanks to Dan, and thanks to all our viewers and listeners. We really appreciate you. And we've come to the end of the show. This is the end of the show. But
Closing
before we
time.
go, we always ask our guests to leave us with a few words that we should always remember. I know you've shared quite much, but what are those very few words that we should always remember?
Very few words. Huh. Well, what I like is what the ancient Greeks used to say. It's know thyself and nothing in excess. So know thyself and then nothing in excess. So whatever you do, whatever you enjoy, just don't overdo, right?
Yeah,
But you have to know who you are before you do anything. Know thyself and
know
nothing
thyself.
else. That's it.
Know
That's it.
thyself.
That's it.
Yes, know
Thyself.
thyself and
Forgive
reduce.
thyself.
Yeah.
All that. All
Know
that.
thyself and reduce your stress and have more happiness.
Exactly.
He
That's
didn't
it.
say he didn't say do away with your stress. Now stress is important in life, but
That's right.
reduce your stress. Much stress is dangerous. It's only reduce your stress and enjoy more happiness.
That's right.
Yeah, thank you very much. We really thank you. We thank all our viewers and audience who've given us feedback. We appreciate.
That's right. Thank you so much, guys. If you need
Yes,
me, you reach out.
yeah,
Anthony, it's a pleasure, my friend. Thank you. I hope we'll do this again at some point.
yeah. Looking forward to it, and thank you very much. You very much appreciated.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I've been your host, Anthony Morore, and together with our guest, Dan Howington, we're saying bye for now.
Bye, guys.